Welcome to our program. I'm Harry Greenberger, president of the New Orleans Secular Humanist Association and host for this show. Today we're going to have a very interesting topic that I think you will appreciate whether you are secular or humanist. And to join me today in our panel are members of our organization, Professor David Schultz, Connie Gordon, and Lanny Goldfinch. And our topic today is morality without religion. There have been several books, including the following titles: Why Good is Good, The Science of Good and Evil, Can We Be Good Without God, and Moral Minds. And these books argue that our sense of right and wrong can be derived from our Darwinian past. And since Dave Schultz is a professor of evolutionary biology, I'm going to ask Dave to tell us what that means.
Well, I think first we have to understand that behaviors can be genetically determined. That is, they can be passed from parents to offspring, and that's true for all organisms, not only humans. And any behavior that results in greater possibility of survival or greater reproductive productivity will be expressed in greater frequency in succeeding generations if it promotes those traits, survival and reproductive productivity. Any trait that doesn't will be eliminated from the population, and that was Darwin's insight into how natural selection works. And he not only talked about behaviors, he talked about all sorts of traits that organisms have.
Most people think of evolution as being physical traits. You're talking about behavioral traits as well.
That's right. Behavioral traits could be, a beaver building a dam. That's certainly building the dam gives it a habitat in which to live and raise its offspring, and that's a behavioral trait that certainly is inherited. Now, we have a harder time very often thinking about humans as having behavioral tendencies that can be passed from parents to offspring, but the people who have studied this genetically through statistical analyses have shown that many behaviors are genetically determined. So how does the question is, how does cooperation and good behaviors, as we think of moral behaviors, how do those benefit humans? I guess would be the question. We can see the roots of our moral behaviors, our social the social underpinnings of that in our primate relatives who live in groups, who have systems of cooperation within those groups that allow them to do better. Grooming is a primate characteristic. Baboons groom almost habitually. It's an instinctive behavior in which individuals clean each other, but an individual that cleans today has the expectation that he's going to be cleaned later by another individual, and of course, if he doesn't receive that, he's potentially not going to return that behavior. He's not going to return the favor in the future, and that kind of non-cooperation will result in greater rates of parasitism for everybody in the group, and a downward spiral in terms of overall survival and reproductive productivity. So working up to humans, how does that work in humans? Humans that do right by other humans ultimately, I think, end up reaping the benefits of that by having other people recognize that they have treated them them well in the past, and they deserve the same treatment from other individuals.
If I understand what you're saying, the behavior which maintains a group and it perpetuates the group, it will be called good.
Yes.
So that is how you separate good from bad. That if it serves to perpetuate the group that you're a part of, then define it as good. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and I think that's one of the reasons why we see the most moral behavior. People are most liable to be good to their relatives. Because those are the people they're going to be seeing on a daily basis and are going to be getting the benefits of reciprocal goodness from, and they also do. Those individuals carry some of the same genes that they do, and so they can see their own genes increased in frequency through helping their relatives. More distantly related individuals, however, are less likely to be encountered on a daily basis and are very often seen as not worthy of the same, or not do the same sort of help that you would give to your own family members. And in our previous show on this topic, we talked about sort of how in groups individuals murder can be forbidden within a group, but can be condoned outside the group. We talked about the 9/11 terrorists who saw their action as a positive action because it was good for their group.
What I would like to try to understand from what you're saying, you're suggesting that this behavior which a child then carries with him is inherited as opposed to having been taught to the child?
Human behaviors are not entirely genetically determined. It may be that when we speak about heritability of behaviors or any other characteristic, we talk about the proportion of the variation in the population that's due to underlying genetic differences. That doesn't mean that